In today's video, we're going to take a look at why some people choose to believe in creationism when all the evidence supports evolution.
Go nuts on my nuts.
Oh hi, and welcome. Are you ready for a good Rogering?
Okay, I find this kind of hilarious.
What did you think I meant? Because I was clearly talking about Roger from Mud Fossil University, and it is not my problem that you've got a filthy mind. Now, not only is Roger the self-proclaimed king of mud fossils, but it would seem that he's also a creationist. Therefore, Roger is the gift that keeps on giving. So let's see what he's got to say. Tidy!
All the texts that were written in ancient times refer to these events. I mean, it's not just one little clip somewhere that somebody made up.
Well, on this occasion, Roger, I just so happen to agree with you. You're right. It wasn't just one clip. It wasn't any clips. Because there were no cameras in ancient times, you silly sausage. And just because thousands of people believe something, that doesn't necessarily make it true.
Yeah, I mean, it might be made up, I don't know, but they call it a conspiracy theory backed by tons of evidence. And I have evidence now that shows there was giants. We know there was dragons. I've shown all this stuff over and over. If someone will talk to me, then we can get somewhere.
And where would that somewhere be? A lunatic asylum, maybe? Because, Roger, you do realize that this isn't helping your argument for creationism at all. And what I mean by that is mentioning that you know there were giants and you know that there were dragons.
It's these arrogant people. And wait till you hear what they say about this. People that think God is real are conspirators. They think, oh, they're just crazy people. And the earth is very young, and that is true.
Well, 4.5 billion years doesn't seem that young to me. But what do I know? And I don't think that people that believe in the Bible are conspirators. That's just a ridiculous belief, in my humble opinion. Just because somebody chooses to believe in something different to me, that doesn't make them crazy, apart from flat earthers and your good self, Roger. And just for clarity, I don't think Roger's crazy because he believes in God. I think he's crazy because he believes in giants and dragons and rock people and mud fossils, and I'm sure you get the picture.
Listen to this. It's exactly the opposite. Demonizing and discrediting. These are common conspiracy theory tactics at play. Well, who's demonizing and discrediting? They're demonizing and discrediting me when I have all the evidence, only they say creationists go to great lengths to demonize the people that go for evolution and to undermine the overwhelming evidence in its favor. It's exactly the opposite. These arrogant people just make me want to vomit. I'm telling you, after 10 years of this, I just can't believe what they have done and what their destiny will be.
You've got to love Roger, haven't you? So that spiel then was saying how butthurt he is when people who believe the opposite of him demonize him and that he has all the evidence. What evidence? Show us some evidence for creation. You can't, because there isn't any, because it all stems from a misunderstanding of what you've read in the Bible. And he also then goes on to say, I hate to think what their destiny would be. Is that some sort of veiled threat? Implying that if we don't believe in the same things as you, we're going to hell?
Now I'm going to demonize and discredit you people because you're just terrible. You're terrible people.
I rest my case. We are terrible people, Roger, because we choose to not believe in the same nonsense as you.
And this is what I was called. Every single university called me a creationist. Oh, you must be a creationist. Oh, giants and this and that. Big deal, DNA. We don't care about the specimens. We don't care about the giants. We don't care about all that because we are in our own little perfectly happy, deluded world. We are PhDs.
Being PhDs is totally irrelevant. That's not why they don't want to have a conversation with you, Roger. They just don't want to have their time wasted by somebody who thinks that research is watching YouTube videos from other people who believe the same thing as him, and his audience then encouraging him and telling him how wonderful he is, when all he actually does is pick up an old rock that he found on the floor and squint his eyes at it until it maybe kind of sort of looks a bit like something that he can then claim is a dragon or the thigh bone of a giant. They're just not interested, Roger. and with good reason.
Okay, my friends, when I found my mud fossils and I went to Yale and all the other universities, it was met with skepticism, obviously, but I was also met with the fact that it presented a creationist representation of the universe, because it was giants, and they were DNA certified, the whole 9 yards, so they were rejected. Now they call this academic rigor, the conversation. Guess what they're saying now?
If Rockboy ever enters the university campus again, call security?
They're saying that anybody who believes in God is a conspirator.
Are they though, Roger? Are they? And more importantly, who is they? Find out after the break.
Go nuts on my nuts.
They're saying that anybody who believes in God is a conspirator.
Well, I'm no expert, but what that looks like it says to me is why creationism bears all the hallmarks of a conspiracy theory. There's no mention there so far of them saying, whoever they may be, that people that believe in God are conspirators. But in the name of fair play, I will allow Roger the opportunity to present his case.
They think, just roll this over in your mind. Just think about this for a second. You have to agree with the Big Bang Theory or they will fail you in school. That's just a fact. And if you think about what the Big Bang Theory says, that there was nothing, and then all of a sudden there was everything.
Are young Earth creationists ever going to understand that Big Bang is just what the event was named? It wasn't a description of what happened. There was no Big Bang, no gigantic explosion. It was a rapid expansion from a singularity. It's only young Earth creationists that think Big Bang means there was a Big Bang. And again, it's only young Earth creationists that think there was nothing and then suddenly there was everything. It didn't work like that. It took millions of years before there was anything. And while young Earth creationists are screaming about how insane it is to believe that everything came from nothing, even though that's not what we say, they seem to think that God magically making two people appear on Earth and then they created the entire human race is much more believable.
And I can't attribute to where God came from either, but all I can say is I can get to the point, and I feel very confident at the point, that our region of the universe, our solar system specifically, was created. At that I feel pretty confident about. And it was created, the whole thing was a swirling mess. And it all started to congeal, and that's okay, I can understand that. And it said, let there be light. And light is the process that makes everything work. If you don't have light, your plants don't grow. Your plants don't grow, nothing lives, zero. You don't live off of nothing. You live off of the things that plants end up creating. Plants and bacteria are the manufacturers of molecules and atoms.
Now, I am more than comfortable to admit that I didn't understand any of that because I don't speak bollocks until he started talking about atoms and molecules. Now, I could be wrong, but the way I've always understand it is when two or more atoms link up, they create molecules. And I also have always understood that everything that you can see, touch, taste, or smell is made up of matter. So how Roger can deduce that something that is made up of matter is what actually creates matter, I don't get it. If I'm wrong, tell me down in the comment section, which I'm fairly certain you will anyway.
Basically, that's exactly what it is. They take the light and they make it into atoms. Light becomes atoms.
Well, look at me being wrong again. I always thought that light was made up of photons, bundles of the electromagnetic field that carry a specific amount of energy. I guess I'm just not as smart as Rockboy.
So, when we talk about these people calling people to believe in God conspiracy theorists, and listen to this, at the very end they come down to their agenda. We don't want to be able to talk about this anymore. I fear that the creationist conspiracy theory will not be short-lived. It is driven by a deep-seated power struggle within religious communities. No, it's people want to understand reality.
Look, you're right. People do want to understand reality, and I also do disagree with the viewpoint that people that believe in God are conspiracy theorists. I really don't think that's the case. Now, a lot of people that believe in God are conspiracy theorists, but not because they believe in God, because they believe in the sorts of nonsense that you believe in, Roger. Their religious affiliation has got nothing to do with it.
Between those who regard Scripture as coming to us through human authors, however inspired, and those who regard it as a perfect supernatural revelation, and that is a struggle that will be with us for a long time. You're right, buddy.
Yep, he is right, Roger, because that's where a lot of the misunderstanding based around biblical belief comes from. The Bible is not a scientific textbook. The Bible is not to be taken literally. Now, if somebody finds comfort in believing in God and they feel that that's the way they want to live, that's absolutely fine. Who am I to say that somebody who believes in God is wrong about anything, even though I do that quite frequently? But what I mean is that they are just taking something literally that should not be taken literally.
Now, what is that struggle? The struggle for me is to assess what I have presented as material substances, like the giants, like the DNA, like the CAT scans, like the dragon, like all of the things, against what was written. It's the only way you can make any determination what was really valid and what was just silly. They talked about a dragon attacking a gigantic fish in the desert. That's ridiculous. No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
Not at all. No, if this is a conspiracy theorist, I guess I am a conspirator, because I see a giant fish right there.
Where?
And if you take your time and look at it, then you tell me what you see.
Well, I see a satellite image of Earth, but that's probably because, even though I know that pareidolia is a very real thing, I am not one of these people that thinks that what pareidolia makes me think I've seen is real.
And then I see a giant fin at the top of the fish, and something seems to be eating into it, and guess what it happens to be? It happens to be this stuff right here that flowed down from what I'm going to show you is a dragon that attacked that fish to try to dispense him.
Oh, no way am I falling into one of Roger's pareidolia traps. I've made plenty of videos about Roger and his pareidolia, but let's just humour him, because we may as well. If we go along with what Roger is saying and think that that is a fish, and bearing in mind that if it was a fish, it would need to be probably 500-600 miles long for it to work in this illustration, I think being attacked by a mythical creature is the least of his worries, because he's flopping around in the desert. And don't fish need water to survive? I love Roger. He never fails to entertain. I've made plenty of other videos about him, so if you do want to see some of Roger's pareidolia, just search for Mud Fossil University on my channel and you'll find them. Thanks very much for watching. If it is your first time here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on bell notifications. And please, for the love of love, hit the like button. Or if you didn't like the video, hit the dislike button. It's still engagement, and it really, really helps my channel grow. I'm the Creaky Blinder, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.
Alright, watch this next. But before you do, make sure you subscribe by order of the Creaky Blinder.